I'm Jodie Summers, I groom for Mary King. Welcome to Horse and Hounds Clipping Masterclass. Today I will be clipping King's Temptress, who we call Tess here. She's an 8-year-old mare who we're taking off to Boekelo in Holland on Monday. Here at the yard with our eventers, we would clip the horses out. We would give them a hunter clip, which leaves a saddle patch and their legs. We would take their faces off. With our youngsters, we would usually use a blanket clip if they're not doing very much work. However, you at home, if you were just hacking or doing some riding club activities, then maybe a trace clip would be plenty. It all depends on your horse, the coat it's got and the work it's in. It's always very helpful to draw out your lines first, especially if doing something like a blanket clip. You can just use saddle soap or a bit of chalk. So you always want to avoid tram lines and tufty bits. The best technique to use is long strokes, overlapping a swell. Be careful when clipping around the mane and tail. Band the mane over, especially if it's an unruly one, and bandage the tail. This keeps it neat and tidy and out of the way.
Okay, now I'm going to clip Tess's head. She is very quiet, which some horses can be very head shy when you go and try and clip around their head. But because she's quiet, I can quite trust her, and always making sure that the clippers definitely aren't hot. If you try and clip a horse's head and the clippers are hot, it can really put a horse off. If they're very quiet, it's even easier to clip them if their head collar isn't on, but you've got to really know them and trust them to be able to do that. It's much easier to do their heads because you aren't having to go in and out of the head collar that's on them. Okay, that's good. Just being very careful around her eye. She's very good. Some horses would move their heads a lot and you would need to cover up their eye to help them accept the clippers. Sometimes you have to move the skin around a little bit to get in the little crooks and crannies to make a nice smooth job. I'm going to trim her ears now. Just carefully hold her ears, stroke them a little bit first to get her used to the feel, and then just be very gentle. I'll go off clipping the hair off around the edges of the ears to make them look really smart and tidy. Again, some horses are don't enjoy this as much. She obviously quite happy having nice tidy ears. But some you have to be very careful and quite slow, taking your time, being patient, maybe even having a few nuts, give them a few nuts to sort of encourage them to be good. So I'm just sort of turning her ear open a little bit and trimming them in. If the horse lives out in the field, I wouldn't recommend for you to clip the inside of their ears, because it's good for them to have the hair there to keep flies and things going down into their ear. But because she's mainly stabled and she's competing at a high level, it just helps the whole appearance of the horse and makes them look really smart.
In eventing, we tend to leave the horse's legs on. They don't seem to get too hairy. However, if you do have something that has very hairy legs and you want this clipping off, then I would recommend using a coarser set of blades. Here are some clipping do's and don'ts. Things you should do include ensuring that the clippers are correctly tensioned. The tension can vary from each manufacturer of clipper. You must oil your blades every 5 to 10 minutes and regularly check that they're not getting too hot. If they are getting hot, remove them and put on a fresh set, or just leave them to cool for a bit. Always avoid clipping at usual feed and turnout times because they can be getting a bit excited and a bit restless. And always have plenty of rugs to hand. They can get cold whilst you're clipping, it can be a long process, so always have one to throw over their back. Things you shouldn't do include dipping your blades in water. If you feel they're getting too hot, just let them cool. Dipping them in water or paraffin is dangerous and it's really not going to help. So once you've finished, it's really important to look after your clippers and make sure you put them away. Even though it is so tempting just to leave them out, it's really important to put them away. So first of all, you want to make sure you brush off all of the hairs back in the box. So when it comes to your main clipper set, you need to remove the blades, taking off the tension set completely, removing the blades, and make sure you give them a really good clean. Back in their packet. And then go all the way over the handset. And store them in a cool, dry place. At the end of a busy clipping season, it's always advisable to send off your clippers, your trimmers and all your blades to a clipper specialist. They will then service your handsets and sharpen your blades ready for the following season.